Well, the spin machine is underway. I'm Megan Fox with pjmedia.com, and there is more. The fallout it's incredible. It just keeps on coming. Vanity Fair is out with a new article. It is called, and just like that, writers hear your criticism loud and clear. And they're seriously in panic mode right now. And I'm going to read you this new column. This is by Julie Miller. And just I just can't even. Okay, here we go. You ready? Former Sex and the City writers and producers Julie Rottenberg and Elisa Zuritsky thought they were mentally prepared this past December when the franchise's continuation, and Just Like That, premiered on HBO Max. They knew viewers were anticipating a fun kickback with Cosmos and might be surprised by the premiere episode in which Carrie's longtime love interest Big dies unexpectedly from a Peloton-adjacent heart attack, and they braced for impact. I knew there'd be a certain amount of press about the premiere and reviews, but after that I figured people would just quietly watch the show. Oh, you hear that? Shut up and watch the show, you guys. Just that's what you're supposed to do. Just shut up and watch it. Rottenberg tells Vanity Fair on the eve of the finale. As it turns out, there was a constant drumbeat of press and think pieces and social media. We're incredibly grateful because it means there's a conversation and people care, even if it can be painful to witness. No, no, Julie. What was painful to witness was this goddamn show. Your writing was painful. Rottenberg and Zuritsky arrived at the original franchise in 2001 as story editors for Sex and the City's fourth season. The writing partners have been friends since meeting at age 9 in a Philadelphia area acting class. We just had this bond at a super young age, says Rottenberg. At Sex and the City, the writing partners drew on their own friendship as inspiration for episodes, including My Motherboard Myself and Pick a Little, Talk a Little. Both progressed to become writers and producers and to earn 3 Emmy nominations for the series. 17 years after Sex and the City ended, and after a few interim gigs writing and producing on Smash, Odd Mom Out, and Divorce, Rottenberg and Zuritsky found themselves devising their own system to process the explosive feedback to Carrie Bradshaw's long-awaited return. I'm more avoidant, hide under my bed kind of person, says Rottenberg. Elisa is far braver. She'll feed me little morsels of good and bad criticism. Elisa knows what I can handle. Zuritsky, on the other hand, says she has a very unfortunate quality of being very curious. Well, you know what that means. Hello, Elisa Zuritsky. Thank you for being here. I spent the whole writing season feeling so curious about people's responses, and I couldn't wait to see how it would land. And then, pretty swiftly, I drowned. Both women laughed before Zuritsky corrects herself, before I was swallowed up in this pouring river of responses. There are so many analogies I have come up with to sort of process it all, says Zuritsky, pointing to the divisive moment we're living in. Zuritsky compares her expectations for the season feedback to her expectations for the recent presidential election. I was hoping and praying for a landslide. Then I realized I think maybe landslides are over. Everything feels so much more complicated. There's such a diversity of opinion about every single thing. There have been a lot of divided reactions to the series, though, which calls for more analogies. I felt like we were a rock band who put out a new album after a long time, says Zuritsky. People listened to these new songs and were like, why aren't I hearing my favorite old songs again? What are these new instruments? It was definitely jarring for people. No, okay, stop. I'm stopping for a second. I have to comment. You wrote new characters with the same names as the people we knew from 6 seasons and 2 movies. You wrote new people. Like, Carrie's not Carrie, Miranda's not Miranda, and Charlotte, she's not Charlotte either. She's the closest one to who she used to be, but she's still weird. No. It was jarring because you recreated characters that don't exist, but you gave them the names of people we recognize. All right, moving on. The tricky thing is that, like they did at Sex and the City before it, the women imbue their own personal experiences and heartbreaks into the storylines. All of these stories came from our lives, says Rottenberg, referring to the entire writer's room. The worst feeling is to feel misunderstood. If I see a response and think, oh, that's not what we meant, that's frustrating. That's when I want to write a letter to every single person. But if I step back and really enjoy this incredibly impassioned conversation people are having, then it's like a ride. You have to learn to ride that roller coaster. And I never liked roller coasters. No, you just don't like this one because we're hanging you by your feet out the side of the roller coaster and we want to drop you. Moving on. The women who have been having their own weekly conversations about the series in their writer's room podcast, again, which is something we could have done without, understand, though, that Carrie, Charlotte, and Miranda belong to the viewers as much as they belong to them. Well, I'm glad they understand that. Everyone feels a certain ownership over them, and everyone has had own private relationship with these ladies for the past 20 years, says Zuritsky. It felt like a nationwide study in subjectivity or like a psychological experiment everyone did. And I feel like I read all the results. It's almost as if people have wanted and expected a bespoke show to come out that speaks exactly to their moment in life they wish they were still in, the way they want their life to be now, the way they wish it was. It's just too much. And we knew intellectually as we were writing that whatever direction we moved in, we were probably not going to please everybody. We couldn't please everybody. Okay, stop. They didn't please anybody. No one likes the show. It wasn't about, we are all in agreement, everyone who has criticized the show, that the reason we don't like it is because it's not because they didn't show us a specific story we wanted to see. It's because they rewrote people that we now don't recognize. And the writing was so incredibly stilted and bad and dumb. Nothing about it was funny. We didn't laugh once organically. Well, except me when Carrie awkwardly threw the ashes over the bridge and I wasn't supposed to laugh then. Nobody's laughing. No one's having any joy. There's no good fashion. We're laughing at the fashion, but we weren't supposed to be doing that. We were supposed to be going, ooh, ah, and we're not doing that. We're not specifically. Yeah, I hate this explanation. And I think she's right that it was like a psychological experiment. And I feel like the writers put us through a psychological experiment on purpose. They're experimenting on us and not in a good way. It's like in a Fauci puppy way where they stuck our heads in a bag and let loose some skin eating fleas. I mean, that it's not a good experiment. It's a bad one. It's torture. All right, moving on. Also, we didn't please everybody. That's for sure, says Rottenberg, displaying her Carrie Bradshaw deadpan. I think we can all agree we did not please everyone. You didn't please anyone. Again, no one was pleased with this. Moving on. So if this was some sort of psychological study of viewers, what did the writers deduce? I think people don't like to feel really uncomfortable, says Rottenberg. Oh, no shit, Julie. People don't like to feel uncomfortable. That's right. We don't. Moving on. And I think some of the riskiest choices we wrote are the ones that I think got a lot of attention. We knew people were going to have big feelings, and that's why it felt really important that we believed in the choices we were making and that they felt real and true to our experience. Again, they try to put the eruption of responses into perspective. I remind myself that the shows I love, that I feel most passionately about, when I disagree with something they did, that doesn't mean I don't love them, says Rottenberg. It's almost like if you love someone, you can still have disagreements, and they're the ones that make you the maddest. The duo have been so overcome by the tsunami of feelings in all directions that they are looking forward to a little quiet post-finale. Thursday's finale is going to air, and people will have feelings about it. We hope they'll like it, and then it will get very quiet, which is its own mixed blessing, says Rottenberg. The constant deluge of hot takes and social media takedowns has been exhausting. It's felt like a limited Broadway run. There was never really a break. I don't think that's going to end anytime soon. You made a documentary. You made 10 writers' rooms podcasts for us to pick apart and figure out where the hell this sucker went off the rails. And that was your choice to do. It wasn't ours. We didn't ask for that. And yet you gave that to us. And knowing all along as it was going that we hated it. I just don't. Oh, whatever. Moving on. Rottenberg and Zuritsky claim that they truly don't know for certain whether AJLT will get a second season. God willing. As Carrie says, the future is unwritten. So we'll see what happens next. But it feels good to be ending with this finale because we felt like we got to bring the characters to where we wanted them to, says Rottenberg. That's where she wanted them? She wanted Miranda to give up her life for a celebrity and move to LA and destroy her family? That's where they wanted her? What? They wanted Charlotte with two little assholes as kids? Oh, God. Okay. If there's a silver lining to the show's feedback, it's that the writer's skin is a little thicker for it. It's hard, admits Zuritsky, but you just get your calluses in place and then sort of enjoy the circus. Okay. All right. Well, what do you guys think about that? Leave me comments below. Let me know how you felt about that. And like and subscribe. I'll be back later.